guys,
Hi guys, this is Gayatri.
and we are back with our 3 book videos. What is the book you want to talk about first?
So I wanted to talk about a book that was released this year by one of my favorite. Oh no, not this year. It was released in 2020 by one of my favorite writers, Leigh Bardugo.
2020 is this year, by the way.
2019, and it's a book that I was really excited about. It's called Ninth House.
Oh yeah, oh I've been seeing it all over Bookstagram.
I went and picked it up and I read it, and okay. So
Oh my God, not Leigh Bardugo.
yes, Leigh Bardugo.
I'm so glad I've only read what I've read of hers because everything before that has mixed reviews and everything after that now sounds like mixed reviews. But what I read was fabulous.
Yeah, that's what happens. So for me, I absolutely really enjoy her Six of Crows duology.
Yes.
And I adore
Especially
Language of Thorns. And I think my expectations were so high that when the book came out, it actually just felt a little bland.
What did you not like about it? What disappointed? Is it set in Grishaverse?
So it's not set in the Grishaverse, this is actually a completely different story and it's set in the real world. Entirely set around Yale University.
Oh, okay.
So the book is set around the university and how there are all these secret societies that are there, and one girl very mysteriously gets called with a full ride scholarship to the university
Sounds really interesting.
because
though.
she has a very interesting ability of being able to see the dead.
To see the dead. Yeah. Okay. The premise sounds super interesting.
Exactly. So with such an incredible premise and her incredible writing style, and her writing style still shines through in this book. I was expecting a lot, but when I got into the story, it just turned into another one of those boy meets girl, girl meets boy.
Okay.
There is an interaction, but its enemies turn to lovers and all of that. There were just so many tropes that you see in every typical young adult book out there that just play. So yeah, what about you, Ash? What book did you read?
Oh, I don't even know if I think this is very unpopular opinion. The book I just finished reading is called Educated, and it's a memoir, and it's by this author called Tara Westover.
So what's the premise of the
Tara Westover, basically grew up in a very Mormon family, Mormonism,
okay.
right? And she talks about what it feels like to grow up in a family with such extreme beliefs. So her father is, against doctors, against schooling system. They believe that the government is out to brainwash everybody, and they have some, there are 6, 7 siblings, and everyone is basically working in a scrapyard that the father owns. It's a very hard life, a very, very hard life that she writes about. And honestly, it's a book that from the beginning actually pulls you in. It is interesting. See, honestly, for me, it was a whole new view of life. We have read about Mormons theoretically, or we might have seen people showing them in different versions of series and books and all. But to hear from a little girl who was born and brought up and what it did to her and her family, it's heart wrenching. Right? I would say it's a must read. I do think everyone should read it, but there are things about it that irked me. So by the time I finished the book, I'm not very sure how I feel about it.
Right. So what are a few instances, if possible, that you can give away?
Yeah, I'm trying to sort of form them without. There's a series of accidents in the book. Series of accidents. Okay. There's burns, there's car crashes, there is brain injury, and Tara's mum begins with being a midwife and eventually is a healer.
Okay.
So they don't believe in hospitals. So she is like a homeopathic, maybe like a medicinal person. And there's clicks and muscle memory and whatever that she uses to figure out who needs what.
Oh, okay. That does not sound safe.
It obviously not safe. And I wish the book told us it was not safe. But it feels like everything just actually gets very accident prone. It's not 1 or 2 or 3 injuries, it's year after year after year.
Right.
People are falling from heights, from pallets, from the whole body burns off.
The book, without openly saying it, kind of advocates for most of the values of Mormonism.
Actually, she doesn't. She doesn't because she's also talking about the other side, the mental trauma, the mental health issues. She openly calls out that she thinks her father is suffering from something, or she herself she's depressed and she can't get out of bed, and all these effects of trying to fit into a world and relearning or unlearning everything she was taught. So she very openly talks about the mental trauma and how difficult it is to cope with the real world. The other thing is, a lot of the book describes the second half of her going out and meeting friends and traveling the world. I don't know where she got the money from, right? As family, they don't have money.
Yeah.
She had to depend on college grants and scholarships, and she made it. Everything she's done on her own, you know. She
Right.
earned her scholarships,
It's really inspiring.
very seriously, full credit to her for that. I can understand scholarship, but where do you get your everyday money? Aren't there a lot of other expenses, even if your college is paying for your stay and your studies?
So sometimes things just seem too good to be true with
They
books.
seem a little too maybe not the whole thing was written. I don't know. I wish she talked about her struggles. If she worked somewhere, she earned her living. We don't know that side so much.
Right.
But again, it was a lot to pack into a book because she's talking about her relationship with her siblings, how they get bad or good, and you know. There are so many good things she talks about. I'm amazed by the way she talks about mental health. I'm amazed by the way she talks about abuse at home and how she addresses it, because she gets down to the core of how the victim feels, to the point of not pain or you know not all the mainstream things we talk about, but just how we try to normalize it and we explain it away to ourselves, the denial. So
Yes,
there's so moving to lighter topics.
I don't think the next book is a lighter topic at all.
It's not. So the next book is something that both Gayatri and I have read, and it's called The Giver.
It's not a Neil Gaiman book, guys.
It's not an Indian book.
It's an incredible book written by Lois Lowry.
Yeah.
And it's a very tiny book. It's a very tiny book and
And it's somehow child friendly in a way. It's dystopian. It addresses a lot of things in a very obtuse way, right? It doesn't directly talk about a lot of issues that we face in our world, but it talks about all of them. So if a child reads it, they can probably just read the whole thing as a fantasy or a futuristic sci-fi movie, or you know,
Yeah.
I think that's how it'll play out in their head.
The story is set in a society where everything has become uniform.
Yeah.
So right down to the number of children a family can have, to the kind of jobs that are assigned.
Yes, people are assigned jobs according to a certain order. The food they eat, the
Their
food packages, names. Basically, a Puritan dystopian world where everyone is equal, equal rules apply, and people do what they're supposed to do, eat what they're supposed to eat, say what they're supposed to say. That's the world, right? It sounds near perfect, and then it starts sort of revealing.
There's one special person in society called the giver, who is assigned all the memories and all the histories and all the different feelings people have.
So it's a story of a memory keeper and how painful it can be, how heavy it can be, how it is the most respected but not at all coveted role in that society. It's a very good book, guys. It's honestly, it's a quick read. It's a dystopian read, and it's suitable for all
Human
ages.
emotions so
It
well.
deals with human emotions, and that is also why I think, because at each stage, when a child reads it to when an adult reads it, we actually see different things in the book. So yeah, those are the 3 books we had to talk to you about today. Thank you so much. See you again soon.
Do let us know, guys, if you've read these books in the comments, or if you have any suggestions for us too. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell icon.